Welcome to a special edition of the Referrals podcast. Introducing our new Daily Dose. We've assembled the ultimate crisis response team for your business. Generous leaders from around the globe teaming up to teach, guide, and lead you through this time of isolation and quarantine. Now let's meet your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J. Maher with another episode of The Daily Dose. I'm in a new environment today. I felt like I needed a fresh environment to do the Daily Dose from. And once again, the Daily Dose is a daily dose of positivity and productivity that is brought to you by referralspodcast.com and the Generosity Generation. Welcome to our 13th edition of this, the April 8th edition. And we have a very, very special guest, which I will introduce here in just a moment. I have to do some announcements real quick. Number one, for those of you that are just joining us, in the comments below, please put 75 if you have your 75 top people picked out. Do you have your 75 done? If you had a movie theater with 75 seats, who are you inviting? Who is going to come? Who's going to bring the energy? Who's going to bring the positivity? So, and this is very important. You need to know who is in your army. You need to know who your top 75 are, and that's very powerful. So put 75 below if you have your 75. Also, tomorrow, we have Tommy Sandvik with The Forgotten Strategy. You will not want to miss this. This is the perfect thing to be calling and talking to the people you know. If you are having Zoom one-on-ones or phone calls, he is going to give you exactly what to say that will add the most value in the shortest amount of time. Time management class tomorrow. Neil Smith at 2:30 Eastern. Check the events in the Generosity Generation group. You can sign up very easily. I will tell you that there are only a few seats remaining. Make sure you get in for Neil Smith's time management class. You will be blown away. Grading 101 with Sandy Creston is next Tuesday at 2:30 Eastern. Once again, check the events tab in the Generosity Generation group. Also, Todd Duncan's Connect class starts, or you can actually sign up today, toddduncan.com/connect, or you can try hightrust.com/connect. And I know he has a limited number of people that he can have get included on that. And then very importantly is many of you have asked for the slides, and actually Steve and David updated their slide deck and they gave it to us. It is a giant file, too big to put into the file section. Here's how you can get it. Please listen to me. Please type it below. CR 101. If you will text message, just typing it below does not get you the file. You will need to text message CR, which stands for crisis response, CR 101, and you need to text that to 470-428-7777. This is where I wish I could go like the little bubble above you or around you, but it's CR 101. Text message that on your phone to 470-428-7777. You need to do that today. And listen, we are going to send you this double-digit deck of all of the beautiful slides that Steve and David, and even a few that they did not go over. So you got to make sure you do that. Last but not least, pleasantly surprised. In the comments below, what have you been pleasantly surprised about? And I have to tell you, I am pleasantly surprised at the reaction of our Generosity Generation members. Shalee Davis, who is actually teaching 30 Mornings West Coast, I said on the air, I mentioned it for like 2 seconds. I ran out of Lighthouse cards. I need to order Lighthouse cards. You know what Shalee Davis did? She sent me Lighthouse cards. So now, guess what? I can start writing the next 20 that I have. And I have to give a shout out to Meredith McVeal. Meredith McVeal out of St. Louis has been a member of the Generosity Generation for a long time, almost from the very beginning. And she just sent me the most heartfelt, most awesome thank you note. And I will tell you what, I had to read it to Max, my 11-year-old. And I was like reading it to him, A, because I want him to think he has a cool dad. But B, because it's like, this is how you, I mean, well, I better not read it. But it's just like, it's so powerful. So what have you been pleasantly surprised about? Please comment below something that you have been pleasantly surprised about over the course of the last 2.5 weeks. Now, without further ado, we need to get one of our great digital marketing technology trainers, a certified referral trainer, and a certified referral coach. One of the best motivational speakers in the country. This is Laurie Knudson. She has over 25 years of experience in the real estate housing industry. And the beauty, it's like everybody has this special talent. She has a special talent of getting to the nitty gritty of what real estate industry experts actually need to know to get their marketing message out and to attract clients. And she specializes in things like SEO, Facebook business page, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, Transact, and many other things. And her leadership continues to offer momentum and excitement at a level that few others have ever seen. And I've come to know Laurie Knudson over the last several years as a certified referral trainer. And I have to tell you, you are all in for a real treat as she boils down the three-legged swivel stool of what we should really be doing with our business. Without further ado, Laurie Knudson, welcome to the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity.
Thank you so much. And I have to tell the story why you say Knudson. It's a Minnesota name, right? And you didn't know because you wanted to say Knudson, and I kept saying, no, it's like people canoeing.
Knudson.
Yeah,
right.
Knudson.
Yeah.
So
Knudson, right?
Knudson, yep, Knudson. And there's 5 different ways to spell it, of course. But I'm happy to be here. I've actually, since that intro has been written, I've been in real estate now 28 years. My mom was a realtor, and I've learned some of the best from her. All the Dale Carnegie books got handed down to me. There, some are displayed on the back mantle, as I always do for you. Now, so for coaching, I use the three-legged swivel stool quite often. And so if you want, I'll just boil down what it is.
Yeah, I would love that. You know, why do you use this swivel stool diagram as a visual aid, and why swivel? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so of course I could share a few things here if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. I have I just have a stool with one leg. And as I sit down with new agents, right? As I sit down with new agents and existing agents, this is the common problem. Either they're overwhelmed with too much data that came into their head of what to do, or they're paralyzed for that reason, or they're brand new and they have no idea even how to start their business. And I had the misfortune, but I'll call it a fortunate experience of having to reboot my business a couple of times because of just 28 years in the business. You have babies, you start a company with your husband, you kind of hang it up, and I've had to reboot my business. So I'm kind of an expert at that. So I always tell them about a three-legged stool. And there's other people who refer to this, especially in the mortgage industry, about like pillars of strength. But I like the stool better, even though it can be a different meaning. We'll stick with the chair kind of stool.
Yeah.
Because you can have many of them and pull them up to a table and have a conversation with people like who have other business stools.
Yeah,
so,
this would be hard to sit on, though. You would have to
and that's why we
manage the stool.
Right. You can't have just one leg of business. So the legs represent business that you're driving in, prospecting, if you will, or how you're getting your market message out. And one leg could be your database.
Yep.
And for most agents and business people, it is. So we can go ahead with that. And then I'll just share a more full picture. And I'm going to go right to this one, which is a little bit better. So this is the three-legged stool. Of course, even if you have 2 legs, and I explain this to people, they're just looking at me like, what are you talking about, a stool? If you have 2 legs, you can stand up a little better, but it's still very tipsy. And the business is what's in the seat.
Mm-hmm.
This is what and you're sitting down, this is your business, but you want it to be stable. So you add a third leg. Now you finally have a stable business plan. And this came to me many years ago when my husband and I owned a different business and has since been closed and moved on. But we realized we couldn't just have one product. We needed to kind of have a diversity or leverage things.
Mm-hmm.
And then within that leg, and I'm not going to go through too much detail here to keep it just simple, but there's things you would do with that. So if the red one is your database, you need to figure out several things you're doing with the database, some actionable plans, put it into action. And once you have your second and third leg, which is where it gets really interesting, you can really make some progress. So database usually gets filled in for the first one. And the second one is where it gets really interesting because I'll ask some questions. And the questions I'll ask is like, what's close to your heart? What do you enjoy doing? And as we had Tara Carter on several months ago, she explained it was, of course, her pet mission. And then I drive to what's in their heart about that. And we build an event around that. And so that could probably be that second leg.
Yep.
And then the third leg might be like what's in their environment around them. So I have some people probably listening, or they'll listen later, that I currently coach. And one's just super unique. She lives, her name is Kathy, and she lives on a houseboat year round in Wisconsin. And I said, do people like to come out and want to visit your houseboat? And she realized, yes. And she's going to be organizing this summer a houseboat tour for people to come to. So it was within her sphere. So you can look at it that way, that it's just something to build on that's organic to who you are. So everybody's stool is going to look a little different. Now the swivel came in when my daughter and I were remodeling our kitchen. And I said to Christy, you know, I really want to have stools that I can swivel in so they can see the lake. And I'm like, oh, and we need to be able to turn around when certain things happen in our business. When there's too many listings, when there's not enough listings, when there's a crisis like this, we need to be able to shift our view. And I call it swivel.
So let's go back to the stool real quick. So it's a three-legged stool. So if I think of like a Rita Driver, I see her with divorce attorneys. I see her with softball people and doing the softball tournament. And I see her with the bikers, and she does the Bikers for Babies and the bike rides for charity. Is that an example, or is that one leg? Is that 3 legs or one leg?
No, it's 3. It's 3. Yeah. So like I wrote down my 3 for you in the notes, that for real estate, it's communicating with my database, deepening the database, it's events, and it's referral partners. That's my 3rd leg. I have very strong referral partners that I work very closely with and include them. So there's sometimes those, I don't know what you call them, but posts between the legs. What do you call those?
The what?
The posts that can go between the legs for further support.
Let's call them supports.
Supports. Okay,
right?
So that's when you might
support arms. I think actually it's called a support arm. Right?
Thank you. I don't know. Sometimes I
if you know, in the comments, please put what is the name of the cross pieces on the stool that hold the legs together, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's a support arm, right? On an architectural side, it would be a support arm, but that's all right. We'll rafter. So
that's a great chance to use both of those legs and merge them for a moment and lean on each other.
Yeah. Crossbar.
Crossbar. Okay. Yeah. So I've had great success, oftentimes tears, when experienced agents like Kathy look at me and go, I didn't even see it. I never knew it. And then she's adding additional legs, and so am I right now, because we're in a time of crisis. I have figured out a way to do remote events. So I'm figuring out how to do a truck that will come up and pick up all these items people are cleaning out of their house. The Goodwills are closed. So I've arranged, and we have something called Epilepsy Foundation. They send a truck. They're going to come around and pick it all up because our all-city garage sale got canceled. So it's, don't be afraid to add more legs is the point, and change out a leg if you feel that it's not working. And
so what is it? Is 3 the ideal number, or is it the minimum number?
It's a minimum.
Okay, so I can have 22 legs on the stool if I wanted to, or would that be too much to manage?
If you can manage it. And so what happens is we get really good at it. One of my legs is a fall porch planter make and take party. I had done the pie day in the fall, but I decided to change it up. that baby is so organized from our first time doing it that we're going to be able to put it into place and roll it again. It's not too much to think about. People are already anticipating it. So that becomes easy. So now I can add more legs. But I would make sure you have your leg diagram filled out, because you do want to, on a daily basis, focus some blocked time in there to focus on your leg. And to help us do that, I brought in this diagram, if it's okay if I share.
I love that. I love that you're tying the 3 legs, which is the focus pieces of your business generation. Yes. And then you're time blocking for it. So you're putting in, there's time on, let's just use Rita's example. She's got time on her schedule for divorce attorneys. She's got time on her schedule for softball, events and softball things. She's got time on her schedule for the bikers and that kind of thing. Either that's planning the event, following up for the event, or just helping a member of that community. So I love that it's almost like this forced focus on something that you might think, well, I just love to do it. And but the thing is that you get away from it. You get away from focusing on this really profitable, really great niche, And
it's keeping it simple. Just like Polly said, you got to keep it simple. And I find that when people really enjoy what they do, if I tell them, what would you do? Or I ask them, what would you do if you didn't have to do anything like work? If you just could spend time on what you really want to do.
And they're really finding that out right now.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. But they're not limited with a business 3-legged stool to be doing nothing at home right now. They might be adding a stool and not looking at one right now, because you obviously can't get together with physical events. So some of those might be postponed, but there's so many other things you can do to get deeper with your database. It's all about deepening relationships to base more referrals on. And
that's what Todd said Monday, right?
Yep.
Todd said Monday, we're all probably not going deep enough with the relationships in our life. And that's why I had everybody do the top 75 is you can't go deep with everybody. You can't build, that's straight from Dunbar's number. We can't build deep relationships with more than 150 people. It has been proven. The size of our neocortex just says, listen, we can manage 150 really great relationships. But what people do is if they have 1,500 people they know, which is everybody, they just give up building deep relationships with anyone. So I love where you're going with this, that we've got to build deeper relationships with the individuals within those 3 stools. I love it.
Everybody has their own magic legs, right? They all have 3 legs that are unique to them. And if anybody's sitting at home right now sulking and not moving on this, which there are people, realtors, business people sitting at home and not taking advantage of the opportunity to help people right now, then they're not going to come out of this well. For those people that I'm coaching that are looking, and that's the swivel chart here, they're seeing what's around them. They're taking fresh eyes to look at the situation, and they're figuring out what is needed. What can they help with? And then so it's obvious here, the word is, and you could replace these with other words like ignite, but I kept it super simple. Just wear the superhero cape and get out there and do what is needed. And then make sure it's coming from value. I have E for educational, Michael, because I'm a former school teacher. And I always tell people I don't sell houses, I educate about the process.
That's right.
And then love on your community. I mean, Toril would be so happy to hear that, right? It's just... Toril White's huge for saying that. Just love on your community and don't expect anything in return, but know that it will return to you 10 times. It just will. And so that's how we got Swivel.
Are you enjoying the Daily Dose? Want to connect with thousands of other business owners that are winning the referral game while working from home right now? Head over to the Generosity Generation Facebook group. Connect with leaders, visionaries, and business owners from all over the world. Go to www.joingengen.com. That's www.joingengen.com.
I love Swivel. I love Swivel. I love what you've done with Swivel. I'm not sure if I loved Swivel before, But I love what you've done with it. And what's interesting is it reminded me back when I was playing football in high school and junior high. And the coach always said, hey, keep your head on a swivel. I was a quarterback and a linebacker. And he was just like, hey, keep your head on a swivel. Which, what does that mean, right? What that means is you don't just get locked into this blind spot of looking straight ahead. You're always kind of taking everything in. You're looking, and there's two things that come about from having your head on a swivel in football. Is one is safety. So you can see where the danger's coming from. But the other reason you keep your head on a swivel is so that you can see opportunities. You can see the open receivers. You can see the uncovered running back. You can see who's about to break open, for the touchdown pass. So I love that swivel is so applicable right now in today's world, because we need to all have our head on a swivel. We need to look for where the danger might be, and we also need to see where the opportunities are. So I love that. That's good stuff. And go into the what a little bit more. So we kind of breeze through that part of the acronym. The C, I think, is a great thing for people to just stand back and just look around, see what's going on. And honestly, if you gave them the gift of awareness today, I think that might be the greatest gift we could give, Right.
And C also says to look around, see where there's a niche that you could maybe fill. That might be where help is needed. And I enjoy that part. I don't mean to make it light of the whole disease that we have right now, but I enjoy looking for places to help people. And so for me, being a high D, high I, I just like to look around and see what's next. I always like my what's next. I like working the craft and getting it into a good position. For me, I'm not a high C, so I'm not super perfectionist.
Right.
But I get it rolling, and I'm also very good at delegating and saying, okay, you take this now.
Yeah. So who did this graphic for you? That's my question.
I did.
So you've got a little C in you.
A little bit.
All right. For first of all, you have to have a little C to think of an acronym. And B, it takes a little bit of a C to figure out what each of the letters, and then to put it into a graphic, you've got to have some organized. That's probably more the teacher in you than it is the C behavioral style. So here's what I love about this is this aligns so perfectly with what we had people do a week ago Tuesday, which is create and lead a Facebook group, because that's the opportunity. And I have to give a shout out to Jana Caudill. I have to give a shout out to Scott McAllister. These are people who now have thousands of people in their Facebook group in just a matter of a couple of weeks. And all they did was, you hit on it, is they were just looking to help. They weren't looking for business or whatever it may be. Now, are they going to get business out of this? Yes, I guarantee down the road they're going to get business out of this. But it's one of those where I love that. And then, so what is in your wheelhouse that you can help be a beacon of light to your community? What skills or passions do you have? Can you dive into that a little bit more?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't do something and fake it. So you got to figure out what's in your wheelhouse. For me, my love language is to give. And so I absolutely am on Facebook and messaging people, or looking to see who's putting a shout out saying, I'm out of toilet paper. I can't find it anywhere. Yeah. I didn't hoard any, but I have enough. So I've been dropping off 2 to 3 rolls when needed, and I just leave it on their doorstep, take a picture, text them, and let them know. So what can you do? And then I realized, there's other things I can do within this community. So I and a friend of mine who's in your group, Pam Lamb, started the group when you told us to. We started a group called Social Distancing Together in Annandale, Minnesota. And we have had really good responses. I don't know that we have 10,000 people, but we've got really good responses, and it's all positive, and it's sharing accurate information. I'll just go in when I have to go to the grocery store, take a picture of what the aisle looks like, share it up to the page. Noted when I was walking that the parks closed a couple weeks ago, took a picture of it, shared it up to the page. So we're just coming from contribution. Now out of that, I developed an event which is the whole Epilepsy Foundation truck that's going to come around and pick up our goods. People are like, wow, great idea, because now I got all this stuff I've organized out of my house and I don't know what to do with it. So be that beacon of light. There's not all is lost. We're in a different situation right now, but there's probably some silver linings in there if we look for them. So, I mean, for me, I'm just in heaven that my husband works at Medtronic and my son works at Tesla, and Elon Musk put the two together and is making ventilators. I'm like, my gosh, who knew I had people in my family wearing superhero capes, you know? So I'm so excited for them, and I'm excited to see where we're going to go. So figure out what you can help with. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much we're talking about the Facebook groups. It now is the time. You talk about the I in Swivel. Now is the time to build your Facebook group, because people are on Facebook more than they've ever been. Mm-hmm. More people are on Facebook than ever has been, and they're all staying longer than they ever have. Mm-hmm. So now is the time to build your Facebook group and to really, you know, which feeds everything else here. See the opportunity, you know, feed your passions and what skills you have to help with. Now is the time to put these into, you know, what's funny is people will call you a superhero just because you created a Facebook group to help people. You know, I mean, it's that easy. And you know, value, of course, it's going to be a ton of valuable content in there. And you're able to post, if you texted CR101 to 470-428-7777, you could post one of those slides or two of those slides or 10 of those slides and provide valuable educational content. And the biggest key that, you know, L on Swivel makes a lot of sense, that would be love, because, you know, this has got to be done with love, and it's got to come from love. If you're doing it for the business. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not doing it so maybe later you'll get the business. You can't do it to get the business. If you're looking to get the business now if you're looking to help, you'll get the business. If you're looking for the business, you'll get nothing and like it, right? So it's right. One of those, it's gotta, and the thing is don't be fake and post fake stuff. Like, I can't be funny. I'm not a funny guy. So I'm not gonna try to make jokes, because quite invariably they would come across wrong. So, but can you take other people's funny stuff and put it into your group? 100%, you know? So I think the bottom line is that I love Swivel. I love how it applies to everything. And I do love how it applies to the Facebook groups. It applies to everybody's business and what they're doing. And it's just beautiful.
One more point I just want to make, because I know we're coming up against our time, and I want to be respectful of the time. But don't think that you can't change out a leg. So during the recession, I wasn't the kind of person that really wanted to deal with REO properties. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I did a hustle. It just came to me because it was an opportunity that I saw, and I owned 15 ATMs. It's something you might not know about me. And I went ahead and took a second mortgage on my house and installed 15 ATMs. And that's what I did until we were through that recession. Is I knew of several places that needed a cash machine to make their dollars work better, so that it was like ice arenas. Strangely enough, jails. I was loading them in the jails. So I had that business. And then eventually real estate started coming back, and some changes happened on the ATM side. So I sold it. So don't be afraid to change up those legs. That was under my personal three-legged stool. And so I have one of those too, where we have investment properties. We have a patent we're working on, my husband and I. So you can have different stools that you would pull up to a table and all talk about together, if you can do that with your family. It's a good lesson for kids too.
I love it. And you've provided this PDF for everybody. We'll post that to the files section of the group later on. And I think it's one of those where, you know, it's this is like the right message for the right time. You know, this is definitely, it goes back to keeping your head on a swivel, which means looking out for the most dangerous offender who can wipe you out, which could be other people with the coronavirus. It could be whatever. It could be your lack of a schedule. That is something to keep your head on a swivel about. But it's also looking for for those opportunities and seeing where the touchdown pass might come from, or where the Facebook group, your Facebook group could take. Here's the other thing that I want everybody to know is your Facebook group will change names.
Yes.
Right now it's called social distancing together, or physical or distant, or quarantining together, or whatever you've called it. But eventually that's going to be Treasure Coast 365, or it's going to be Minnesota, or, City of Minnesota 365, or, it can be like Toral is Toral's Tribe,
yes.
So it for the short term, know that you can change that name down the road as your legs on your stool change, and it just makes sense to change that name to something else.
Yes.
So I love it. This is outstanding stuff. And you know what I love about, and this is probably a message for everybody, is that I love that you boiled it down to an acronym that fits, makes sense, and notice how efficient we were with this conversation because we had SWIVEL to converse around. Could you imagine trying to cover, there's 6 letters in SWIVEL. Could you imagine calling, having a conversation about all those 6 different things in 30 minutes or less? We could do that because you put it into an acronym and because you know your content so well.
Well, and I put it out on Facebook and I got help.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
So talk about that real quick.
I was coming up with lots of words. S could have been shift. V was kind of value. E could have been engage. I could have been
inspire, right?
Impact. Yeah. And I have a friend, I want to give her a shout out, Beth.
There you go.
Who is on my girls' night out group. She's the one who comes up with the cheers. And I told her the mission. I told everybody on Facebook, I want this to be a message, not just an acronym. She nailed it in one hit.
Which one did she do?
She did the whole SWIVEL, except for I changed out the L.
Okay.
She had put lucrative, which I'm not knocking lucrative. She was on the right level, but we come from a place of love. That's right. And then we see it follow. So she had everything else.
I love it. You got help. You pulled the audience.
I did.
And what's funny is kudos on your shout out to Beth. I'm really glad you did that because Beth deserves part of the credit here and that kind of thing. And it's helping
you'd like her. You'd like her. She's crazy.
Well, I like everybody. So I would, you're right. I would probably like her. So everybody, I just have to say that we need to build these multiple legs to our prospecting stool. And if you need help with that, Laurie is more than happy to help and more than competent to help. She's got her own, and she does this and teaches this and coaches this every single day. Laurie, how does somebody reach you if they have questions or they want more information from you?
Yeah, I actually put it on that PDF on the bottom. So you can call me at 612-308-8749 or email me at laurie.knudson@gmail.com or get a hold of me through Referco. I also just want to correct for the training. You had transactions. It's actually called Transaction Desk, and I'm very much love training on Transaction Desk, and I do it for CE through Transaction Desk, which a lot of people know is Instant Authentisign.
So
I'd love to come help you for that.
I know it's not part of this interview necessarily. It wasn't a rehearsed question necessarily, but Transaction Desk, is it 100% paper and interaction free? I mean, is it something that can be used right now?
Absolutely. I never use a copy machine or a scanner. I just use the way I use Transaction Desk. I do boil it down to the nitty gritty. I take the mystery out of it. And I help you become so much more efficient. So,
and you've got I've noticed that I just noticed on the PDF that you've got a 7L deep dive book study. And first of all, thank you for having that on 7L. I've noticed the 7L, it's like a halo above your head there. Yes. So tell us about the 7L deep dive book study. What are you doing with that?
Yeah, well, Monique Harps is actually the one who initiated that. And it's interesting because then Tommy and I chimed in and said, wow, you're having a lot of response. Love to help you. And I had them as the free coaching call. And Monique is another example of somebody who is getting sent to another area because she's in the National Guard.
That's right.
And she's like, on her call, just FYI, she was like, should I just stop real estate? We explained to her how she could still do referrals. She's killing it with referrals. But she started this book club. It's 10 weeks. I don't know if the second one will be 10 weeks, and we've already started. So you'd have to sign up if you're interested in a secondary one. Okay. It's a very low cost book club. And we're happy to do it. I know Monique and Tommy and I would all do it again. So
yeah. And Tommy's on tomorrow, so they'll learn more about Tommy Sandvik and our Orlando friend. So this has been fantastic. And I'm going to just run through a quick review here, and then we'll get final words of wisdom from Laurie on what should we be doing today, right? So number one is, do you have your 75? If you have your top 75 done, put 75 in the comments below. Now, some of you have questions for Laurie. Don't hesitate to put those in the comments below as well. But 75 indicates you have your top 75 somewhere on an Excel sheet, up on a whiteboard, in your CRM, somewhere, and you literally have it in 3 tiers of 25 that you've done each week. Number two is what have you been pleasantly surprised about? I shared some of those in the very beginning. Number three is text CR 101 for Crisis Response 101 to 470-428-7777 to get the KCM slides. It's a pretty heavy file. It's very graphic intensive. So you can get that. And then tomorrow, Tommy Sandvik is going to cover the forgotten strategy, how to deliver the most amount of value in the shortest amount of time. Time Management 101 with Neil Smith is tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern. He's got some surprises for you. He has a very good class planned. Grading 101 with Sandy Creston is next Tuesday at 2:30 Eastern. And you can also check the events tab in this group for that. Todd Duncan has his Connect class starting. It's hightrust.com/connect. And if you're interested in Keeping Current Matters, go to keepingcurrentmatters.com. And then for Laurie Knudson, she has a download that we will post today, and her contact information is on there. Laurie, what kind of final words of wisdom do you have for people as we navigate this unprecedented times?
Don't think that having one leg on your business is going to be stabilizing enough. Make sure you've got 3 legs minimum. Dig deep into yourself to figure out what it is that is unique about you that you can have to offer people, and make that one of your legs. And make sure you've got 3 or more. Don't take it lightly, and make that your focus each day, but make sure you're looking around to see what other legs could be added.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Laurie Knudson, for being our guest on the Daily Dose of Positivity and Productivity. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate all of you. Tomorrow, we have Tommy Sandvik with the Forgotten Strategy. You will want to tune in at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Daily Dose. Once again, this is brought to you by referralspodcast.com. You can listen to this on a podcast, or you can watch it at youtube.com/7LTV. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you tomorrow on the Daily Dose.